The first kick landed before she even saw it coming. The sound was sickening, a dull thud against fragile ribs, and the world seemed to freeze as her little girl screamed into the cold, gray air. In that single, unbearable moment, a mother's body became a shield, her arms wrapping around her daughter as if love alone could stop the cruelty raining down on them. If you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in standing up for the helpless, take a moment right now to like this video, share it with someone who believes in courage, and subscribe to the channel. Stories like this remind us that even in the darkest hours, light can break through. Emily Carter had once believed her life would be simple. A small wooden home on the edge of town, her husband Daniel's steady laughter filling the porch at dusk, and their daughter Lily chasing fireflies in the yard. Daniel had served his country with quiet pride, and though the deployments had been long and lonely, Emily had endured them with strength she didn't know she possessed. But war has a way of following soldiers home, even when they don't. Daniel never returned from his final mission overseas. A folded flag, a pair of polished boots, and a hollow ache were all that came back to her. Grief didn't knock politely. It shattered her world. Overnight, Emily became a widow at 32 and a single mother to a 5-year-old who still waited by the window some evenings, convinced her daddy might surprise them. The small savings Daniel left behind dwindled quickly. Medical bills from Lily's asthma treatments piled up. Emily worked 2 jobs, mornings at a diner and nights cleaning offices, but it was never quite enough. The house, once filled with warmth, began to feel like a fragile shelter against a storm she could not control. The storm took shape in 3 men who had recently begun circling the neighborhood like vultures. They weren't strangers, they were the kind of men everyone knew but no one confronted. They drank too much, laughed too loud, and fed off the fear of others. When Emily fell behind on a private loan she had taken to cover Lily's hospital visit, those men decided she was easy prey. They began with threats, subtle at first. A smashed mailbox. A warning note nailed to her door. A car engine revving outside at midnight. Emily tried to stay strong. She avoided them, kept her head down, and told Lily that everything would be okay. But fear has a scent, and bullies know how to track it. That morning, the sky was heavy with fog, the air damp and biting. Emily had just stepped off her porch with Lily bundled in a bright yellow coat when the men appeared from behind an old pickup truck parked along the dirt road. Their boots crunched against gravel as they approached. Emily's stomach tightened. She clutched Lily's hand instinctively. They didn't shout at first. They didn't need to. One of them stepped forward, his face twisted with a grin that carried no humor. He demanded money she didn't have. Emily tried to reason with them, explaining she needed more time, promising she would pay every cent. Her voice trembled, but she stood her ground, placing herself between them and her daughter. The first shove sent her stumbling backward. Lily screamed and grabbed her mother's jacket. Emily dropped to her knees, wrapping Lily in her arms. Then came the kick, sudden, brutal, meant to humiliate more than harm. Dirt sprayed into the air. Pain shot through her side, but she refused to let go of her child. The world narrowed to the sound of Lily crying and her own ragged breathing. The men laughed. They didn't see him at first. Across the open field beyond the tree line, a tall figure was running toward the house. His boots struck the ground with controlled fury. Beside him, a German shepherd sprinted like a streak of muscle and instinct, eyes locked on the chaos ahead. The man's name was Ryan Hayes. Few in town knew much about him. He had moved into a cabin at the edge of the woods months earlier, quiet and distant. What they didn't know was that Ryan had spent 12 years as a Navy SEAL, surviving missions most people would never hear about. What they also didn't know was that he had buried a brother lost to senseless violence back home while he was deployed overseas. Ryan had been training his K-9 partner, Titan, in the early morning fog when he heard the scream. There are certain sounds that never leave a soldier's mind: distress, terror, the cry of someone defenseless. They cut through distance like bullets. Ryan didn't hesitate. Training took over. He ran toward the sound with Titan at his side. As the men raised their boots again, Titan's growl rolled across the yard like thunder. It was low and commanding, the kind of warning that freezes blood. The thugs turned, startled. Ryan's voice followed, sharp and controlled, slicing through the air with authority that demanded obedience. Titan lunged forward at a precise command, not wild but purposeful. He positioned himself between Emily and the men, teeth bared, muscles taut. The laughter vanished. One of the men tried to step forward bravely, but Titan's bark exploded with such force that the man stumbled back. Ryan moved closer, his eyes steady, assessing every threat with the calm intensity of someone who had faced far worse. He didn't shout insults. He didn't posture. He simply stood there, a wall of unspoken promise. In his presence, the yard felt different. The balance of power shifted. The men saw something in his gaze that unsettled them, not anger, but certainty. The certainty that he would not allow another strike to land. The leader of the group muttered a threat, but it rang hollow. Titan took one deliberate step forward, claws digging into the dirt. Ryan gave a single quiet command. That was enough. The men backed away slowly, retreating toward their truck. Pride battled fear in their expressions, but survival won. Within moments, their engine roared and they disappeared down the road, leaving only swirling dust behind. Silence settled like fragile glass. Emily's arms were still wrapped tightly around Lily. She was shaking, not from the cold but from the release of terror. Ryan approached slowly, kneeling a respectful distance away so as not to startle them further. Titan lowered himself beside him, watchful but calm now. Emily looked up at Ryan, eyes wide with disbelief and gratitude. She couldn't form words. She simply nodded, tears carving silent paths down her cheeks. Lily peeked from her mother's embrace and stared at Titan with a mixture of awe and wonder. The dog's stern expression softened as he gently lowered his head, sensing the child's fear fading into curiosity. Ryan helped Emily to her feet. He noticed the bruising already forming along her side and the way she tried to hide her pain. He offered to call the police, but Emily hesitated. Fear of retaliation lingered like smoke. Ryan understood that fear too well. He assured her quietly that she and Lily would not face this alone again. Over the following days, Ryan became a steady presence. He repaired her broken mailbox. He installed motion lights around the house. He shared contact numbers with trusted veterans in town who looked out for one another. Word spread quickly that Emily was no longer an easy target. The men who had attacked her stayed away, unwilling to test the resolve of a SEAL and his K-9. But something deeper changed as well. Lily began to smile again. She would sit on the porch steps as Ryan trained Titan in the yard, her laughter echoing when Titan performed a flawless command. For the first time since Daniel's death, the house felt less lonely. Emily found herself breathing easier, sleeping through the night without jolting awake at every passing car. Ryan never spoke much about his own scars, but Emily saw them in the quiet moments, in the way his eyes lingered on Daniel's folded flag displayed in the living room, in the careful gentleness with which he treated Lily. Saving them that morning had stirred something in him too, a reminder that strength was not just about combat but about compassion. Weeks passed, and the bruises on Emily's body faded. The bruises on her spirit healed more slowly, but they did heal. She found the courage to report the assault. With witness accounts and mounting complaints from others in town, authorities finally took action. The men who thrived on intimidation discovered that consequences have long memories. Life did not magically become perfect. Bills still needed to be paid. Grief still visited in quiet hours. But Emily no longer felt invisible. She felt seen, protected, and valued. Ryan and Titan had stepped into her story at the exact moment darkness threatened to consume it. One evening, As the sun dipped low and painted the sky in hues of gold and amber, Emily stood on her porch watching Lily play fetch with Titan. Laughter drifted through the air like music. Ryan leaned against the railing, hands folded, content in the simple peace of the moment. Emily realized that sometimes heroes do not arrive with flashing lights or grand speeches. Sometimes they run across fog-covered fields because they hear a scream and refuse to ignore it. Before this story comes to its close, I want to ask you something special. If this journey has stirred your heart in any way, please comment the word courage below to honor every mother who stands as a shield for her child. That night, Emily tucked Lily into bed and kissed her forehead. The fear that once haunted her eyes had been replaced by something stronger, resilience. Down the hall, Titan rested at Ryan's feet, ever watchful. Outside, the fog began to roll in again, but it no longer felt threatening. It felt like a reminder of the morning when everything changed. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that bravery and kindness still exist in this world, please like this video, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe for more stories that celebrate the strength of the human spirit. Your engagement helps these messages of courage reach further than you can imagine. Because sometimes, when cruelty strikes without warning, it only takes one determined soul, and one loyal dog, to turn fear into freedom, and a broken morning into the beginning of healing.